YouTube, it's Ashley Offset. It's good to see you in another video. Like always, I just want to start out by saying thank you so much for subscribing, but mostly for your comments. We've had the channel for a little over a month at this point, and the cool thing about that is that I'm recognizing some of you just from going back and forth with you, and I really appreciate, one, your kind words, something that I never expected to have as many viewers as I've gotten in this first month. It's just been really cool, so thank you for your kind comments to kind of keep me going, because this is a little out of my comfort zone. But I also wanted to say thank you again, like I said in the last video, for your cool stories and the history of your own gear. We had a couple of really nice comments last week, and they were about some of the history of some gear, and I just think that that's priceless to me, like getting to talk to you guys. So that's the main thing I wanted to say, is just surprisingly enough, I thought I was starting this channel just to document my journey with gear for myself, and now it's turned into just going back and forth with you guys and really learning a lot from you. So thank you so much for those of you who took the time to leave comments and subscribe. I wanted to give you an update because last video I told you I was getting over strep and COVID. I'm feeling so much better, so thank you for your well wishes. This week is also a little bit different because I'm out of town. I hope to get into some more regular content when I get back, but I do have something to talk about today. Because I am traveling, I usually bring a travel guitar with me. And by travel guitar, I don't mean that I have like a designated actual travel guitar, you know, without the headstock and like a smaller form factor. But what I usually do is bring my Squier Classic Vibes with me. So I'll show you that in a minute and kind of give you the rundown on what I do with that. So I'll kind of give you the specs of that guitar and show you what it looks like. I've showed it to you in the last video, but we didn't really get into any detail about it. I also wanted to say when I do travel, I typically look for guitar stores along the way or guitar stores that are near my destination. Thankfully, there are no guitar stores within about 60 miles. Could I drive 60 miles? Yes, but I'm resisting that temptation. I'm just gonna be satisfied with what I have for right now. But the other thing that I do is I get on Facebook Marketplace and scope out what the local area here has, because it's just fun, right? So every day where I live, I'll scope out Marketplace and save the gear that I like or that I'm interested in. When I go out of town, it's just fresh stuff. Like, there's so much different stuff when you travel to a new place, and so I'm trying to resist that temptation as well. Marketplace is a little more sketchy in terms of getting something authentic versus not, and quite frankly, I'm not well versed enough to always 100% know, so definitely wouldn't buy high-end gear at this point in my journey off of Marketplace, just because if it was not authentic or fake, it would really impact me pretty greatly. So with that being said, here's my Classic Vibes guitar, and going off that whole Marketplace thing, I actually got this used off of Facebook Marketplace. It's actually my first Squier guitar, and there was quite the buzz going around about in 2020, 2021 about the build quality just being exponentially better than in years past, especially with this Classic Vibes version. Instead of buying brand new, I still wasn't really convinced. I wanted to just try it out, maybe at an even cheaper price point. So I picked this up off Marketplace, and the really cool thing about that is the guy that had it wanted to try it out as well for those same reasons, but he set it up with a fresh pair of strings. You can tell that he really polished the fretboard for me and everything like that. He included a gig bag, and so overall it was a tremendous experience because I've really ended up liking this guitar. This particular one is the Classic Vibes Stratocaster 60s version. So a 60s Strat. It has Fender branded Alnico single coil pickups, of course a 5-way switch. It does have a vintage synchronized tremolo and vintage tuners, 21 tall narrow frets. I believe the body is NATO, could be NATO, I don't know, I'm gonna say NATO. And a 3-tone sunburst just finishes it off nicely. What I really like about these Classic Vibes guitars is that if you remember in my last video about the Squier Bullet, the fretboard was looking a little green, just didn't look quite as nice. With this, you kind of have like almost, well not almost, it definitely looks like a roasted maple, just a nice golden color to the neck there. And with that dark fretboard, you can't really tell that it's Indian Laurel, which I really like, because sometimes those can be kind of like a light color, and I just prefer this really nice dark color. I will say that the neck feels super comfortable. It is a C-shaped neck, and actually, now that I'm looking at it, I wanted to say, they're saying that this is a bone nut on the guitar, which is, to me, it's crazy for a Squier to have that, because a lot of higher end guitars don't even feature the bone nut in the Fender runs and the Squiers. Really cool feature to me. If it's true, it's kind of like hard to believe because I've never seen that before, but apparently it is a bone nut. The finish is gloss polyurethane, but again, I think it's really beautiful, and honestly, I'll kind of hold it up here and we'll do some close-ups, but I can't really tell. I'm not going to look too closely because I don't want to know where the multiple pieces of wood that make up the body are, but really it's not that obvious, and I think that that has a lot to do with the three-tone color sunburst kind of blending everything in. It's just a really beautiful guitar, especially at the price point. Now when you're traveling, of course, you don't have to worry about this guitar quite as much as if you were bringing another type of guitar or maybe a little bit of a higher end guitar. But what I've found, and if you're anything like me, is no matter what the cost of your gear is, you kind of become attached to it. And honestly, I don't believe that any two of these are exactly the same. There's always going to be something a little bit different. I really like the way the guy had this one set up. So as I travel with it, yes, I'm less worried about something happening, but the more I use it, the more I'm kind of worried about something happening. So I just thought that that was really ironic and funny that this was supposed to be my throw around guitar, and now it's becoming the same as any of my other pieces, really. So I really treasure this guitar. Now sometimes I'll bring a Dean 10-watt amp that I've had for quite some time with me, but to be quite honest, when I'm traveling, I don't really want to annoy those around me. If we were staying in like a condo or a hotel or something, I definitely would never plug an amp into one of those locations, just out of respect for other people and really for those that I'm traveling with. So this time I did not bring the amp, but I'm used to playing, quite frankly, unplugged until recently. I really don't mind it. One other cool thing about bringing this particular guitar with me is that the tension on the strings is a lot higher than all of my other guitars. Generally when I travel, my goal is to have been practicing a piece of music. By the end of the trip, I kind of want to have it nailed down. That's always my goal. So with this guitar, the reason I'm talking about the tension on the strings is I'm really working on bending the strings, a lot of the things that I've been learning lately. And because it's harder with this guitar to bend the strings, by the time I get home and pick up any other guitar I have, it's so much easier to make those bends. And it's just like I got better overnight just because of the ease of playing those other guitars. It's not to say that I don't enjoy playing this guitar, and I'm not saying I have to fight it, but it doesn't just kind of make the move that you want it to. You really have to intentionally put these strings where you want them to be. And I think that that is a pro when it comes to learning a new piece of music. Another thing I'll say about this, it's an extremely lightweight guitar, but not annoyingly so. It really is just well balanced on the lighter side of a Strat. If I had to buy another Squier Classic Vibes, I totally would. You can't tell now. I mean, I have a made in Mexico Fender, and I wouldn't personally be able to tell this guitar apart from the other one if it weren't for the weight. If I held it, if it was this light, I would know this is my Classic Vibes. But otherwise, I think that they're very similar in quality, and I think that's good for us as consumers because they're making really nice guitars now for not a whole lot of money. And lastly, slightly unrelated, but this week in music news, I think the coolest thing that I heard about, that I've been hearing the buzz about for a couple of weeks at least, is Tom DeLonge's new Stratocaster that just came out. I think the thing is gorgeous in any color. I'd be really torn on maybe like a surf green or the yellow one. Yellow is my favorite color. There's a plethora of videos by YouTubers reviewing this thing. I think a lot of people got sent one, and so I'm anxious to know, have you checked it out and who you recommend, which video do you recommend watching, because I haven't checked one out yet. If I hadn't gotten something recently, I might really be into getting that guitar. But considering so many other people have gotten it, I think I'm gonna live vicariously through them and just enjoy some videos. So like I said, I really appreciate you guys sending the well wishes to me when I was sick. It really meant a lot to me. I'm feeling a lot better, so thank you. And also for putting up with me now that I'm out of town, kind of doing something different. When I get back, we'll get back into more normal content. I hope you guys are having a great week, and I'll see you in the next video.